From the F-35 Lightning II, the most expensive weapons program in human history, to the F-22 Raptor, one of the most advanced air fighters ever built, to the CH-53K Heavy Lift, the monster of helicopters, here are 20 deadliest weapons that cost more than some nations' entire GDP, beginning with a veteran of terrestrial warfare. M1 Abrams tank modifications, $1.5 billion. While it might seem like old technology compared to our stealth fighters and nuclear submarines, make no mistake, this 73-ton beast remains one of the most lethal ground combat platforms ever designed. First entering service way back in 1980, the Abrams has been constantly upgraded to maintain its edge on the modern battlefield. The latest iteration, the M1A2, features composite armor enhanced with depleted uranium, active protection systems that can shoot down incoming missiles, and a devastating 120mm smoothbore cannon that can punch through virtually any armor at ranges exceeding 2 miles. What makes this system so expensive isn't just building new tanks, it's the constant modifications and upgrades that cost between $10 million and $20 million per vehicle, bringing the FY 2026 budget allocation to $1.5 billion. And here's what's fascinating. The Army is now accelerating development of the M1E3 variant, which will incorporate lessons learned from the war in Ukraine, including lighter weight through advanced materials, hybrid electric drive for better fuel efficiency, and potentially even an autoloader to reduce crew size, with approximately 2,500 active units and upgrades continuing through 2028. The Abrams remains America's iron fist on the ground, a rolling fortress that embodies 45 years of combat evolution. Moving on to a completely new class of vessel that represents the future of amphibious warfare. LSM Medium Landing Ship, $2 billion. Originally conceived in 2019 under the Marine Corps' Revolutionary Force Design 2030 initiative, this program aims to transform how America projects power in contested littoral environments, particularly in the Pacific Theater where China's growing military might present unprecedented challenges. Think of the LSM as a lethal Swiss Army knife for island warfare. These ships, displacing between 3,000 and 4,000 tons and measuring approximately 200-400 feet in length, are specifically designed to operate in the dangerous space between sea and shore. What makes them deadly isn't massive firepower, it's their ability to rapidly deploy 75 Marines along with vehicles and anti-ship missile systems to contested islands, essentially turning each vessel into a mobile missile battery that can threaten Chinese naval forces. The shallow draft allows beaching for rapid offload, while the modular design enables integration of naval strike missiles, unmanned systems, and other emerging technologies. With unit costs estimated between $150 million and $222 million, and plans to procure 18 to 35 ships, the FY 2026 budget allocates $2 billion to jumpstart production. Now, this program has faced its share of controversies, delays of approximately 2 years, and debates about whether these relatively small, lightly armored vessels can survive in high-threat environments. But the first contract was awarded in March 2025, with deliveries expected in the late 2020s. Next up is the workhorse of Navy carrier aviation. FA-18 Super Hornet, $2 billion. Evolved from the original Hornet design in the 1990s to address range and payload limitations, this twin-engine, carrier-based multi-role fighter has become absolutely indispensable to American naval power projection. What makes the Super Hornet so valuable is its versatility. It can conduct air superiority missions, strike heavily defended targets, perform reconnaissance, and even engage in electronic warfare through its EA-18G Growler variant. The latest Block 3 configuration, which began production in 2020, features conformal fuel tanks that extend range by over 100 nautical miles, advanced cockpit displays, and infrared search and track systems that allow it to detect stealth aircraft without emitting radar signals. Powered by 2 General Electric F414 engines producing 22,000 pounds of thrust each with afterburner, the Super Hornet can hit Mach 1.6 and carry an impressive array of weaponry across 11 hardpoints, everything from AIM-120 AMRAAMs for air-to-air combat to precision-guided JDAMs for ground strikes to Harpoon anti-ship missiles. The FY 2026 allocation of $2 billion focuses primarily on upgrades and modernization, as over 600 Super Hornets are in service and the fleet recently surpassed 12 million flight hours. With unit costs ranging from $80 million to $100 million, this represents significant value compared to newer stealth fighters. Up next, quite possibly the most dominant air superiority fighter ever created. F-22 Raptor, $2 billion. Developed from the Advanced Tactical Fighter program of the 1980s, this fifth-generation marvel entered service in 2005 and immediately established air dominance that remains unmatched 2 decades later. What makes the Raptor so devastatingly effective is the combination of capabilities that no other aircraft can match. Stealth that reduces its radar cross-section to the size of a marble, supercruise capability allowing sustained supersonic flight without afterburners, thrust vectoring for unparalleled maneuverability, and sensor fusion that gives pilots godlike awareness of the battle space. Powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney F119 engines producing 35,000 pounds of thrust each with afterburner, the Raptor can hit Mach 225 at altitude and perform maneuvers that would tear lesser aircraft apart, pulling 9 Gs while remaining completely invisible to enemy radar. In exercises, the Raptor has achieved kill ratios of 144-0 against conventional fighters. Unfortunately, production ended in 2011 after just 187 operational aircraft due to budget constraints, making each Raptor incredibly precious. The FY 2026 allocation of $2 billion focuses entirely on modernization and upgrades, addressing obsolescence issues, integrating new weapons, and potentially adding AI-driven capabilities. Recent decisions in 2025 will upgrade 32 older jets for combat use, bringing the combat-capable fleet to 149 aircraft. Moving on to ships that are absolutely critical to sustained combat operations. TAO-205, John Lewis-class fleet replenishment oiler, $2 billion. These massive ships enable everything else on this list to function. Without them, carrier strike groups would have to return to port for refueling after just days at sea. Bombers couldn't conduct extended missions, and the entire American concept of global power projection would collapse. Think of them as the lifeline of lethality. They don't fire the weapons, but they enable every other platform to stay in the fight. Displacing 49,150 tons fully loaded and stretching 746 feet in length, these behemoths carry 162,000 barrels of fuel oil and jet fuel, plus 6,500 tons of dry cargo and aviation facilities for 2 helicopters. What makes them expensive? Averaging $675 million to $800 million per ship with $2 billion allocated in FY 2026 for 2 more vessels is the sophisticated engineering required. These aren't just tankers. They feature 5 refueling stations for simultaneous underway replenishment, advanced cargo handling systems, double hull construction meeting environmental standards, and defensive systems including chaff launchers and electronic warfare suites. First commissioned in 2022, with 6 now operational or in trials, they've already proven their worth supporting operations from the Pacific to the Red Sea. With plans for 20 total ships and deliveries continuing through the 2030s, these oilers represent America's commitment to sustained global presence. Next up, a perfect example of how information dominance translates directly to combat lethality. E-2D Advanced Hawkeye, $2.1 billion. Evolved from the E-2 series that has been operating since the 1960s, the E-2D represents the latest iteration with first flights in 2007. This twin turboprop, carrier-based aircraft might not carry weapons itself, but it serves as the eyes and ears of the entire battle group. And in modern warfare, seeing first often means killing first. What makes the E-2D so valuable is its revolutionary AN/APY-9 radar system. This ultra-high-frequency UHF mechanically scanned array can detect and track over 200 nautical miles away, providing early warning of aircraft, missiles, and even ships. But here's where it gets really interesting. That UHF radar is specifically designed to detect stealth aircraft that would be invisible to conventional radar systems, making it a critical counter to Chinese and Russian stealth fighters. The E-2D doesn't just detect threats, it coordinates the entire battle, serving as an airborne battle management platform that can vector fighters to intercepts, direct missile defenses, and even control strikes against surface targets. With unit costs at approximately $525 million and FY 2026 allocations of $2.1 billion, focusing on avionics upgrades, this represents significant investment in what the Navy calls the digital quarterback of carrier operations. With over 75 delivered as of 2025, every carrier air wing includes multiple Hawkeyes for 24/7 coverage. Next up is a helicopter that is called an absolute monster. CH-53K Heavy Lift Replacement Helicopter, $2.5 billion. Evolved from the CH-53 series that dates back to the 1960s, the CH-53K represents a complete redesign with development starting in 2006 and first flight in 2015. This three-engine heavy-lift helicopter is specifically designed for the most demanding mission, getting Marines and their equipment into contested zones under fire. Powered by three General Electric T408 turboshaft engines, the King Stallion can lift an astounding 36,000 pounds externally. That's roughly 3 times more than its predecessor. To put that in perspective, it can carry an entire light armored vehicle, a field artillery piece complete with ammunition, or even the engine package from an F-35 fighter. What makes this capability so deadly is the speed at which it can move combat power. In recent exercises, CH-53Ks demonstrated the ability to rapidly insert Marine Littoral Regiment forces with their anti-ship missiles and supporting equipment. The fly-by-wire controls, advanced composite airframe, and digital glass cockpit make it far more capable and survivable than previous heavy lifters. Now, with unit costs at approximately $200 million and a recent contract for up to 99 aircraft, this represents a major investment in amphibious assault capability, with FY 2026 allocating $2.5 billion. Moving on to ships that are critical to America's ability to project power from the sea. LPD-17 San Antonio-class amphibious ship, $2.8 billion. Developed in the 1990s to replace older amphibious classes, the lead ship USS San Antonio was commissioned in 2006, and what makes these ships so valuable is their incredible versatility. Displacing 25,000 tons and measuring 684 feet in length, these vessels combine the functions of multiple older ship classes into one hull. They feature a well deck that can launch landing craft air cushion vehicles, those massive hovercraft, a flight deck and hangar for helicopters and V-22 Ospreys, berthing for 699 combat equipped Marines, and advanced medical facilities, including 2 operating rooms. Think of them as mobile military bases that bring the fight to enemy shores. What makes them deadly isn't their defensive armament, 2 rolling airframe missile launchers and 30mm guns, but rather their ability to rapidly deploy combined arms teams. In a typical assault, the well deck would launch LCACs carrying Marines and vehicles to seize a beachhead, while helicopters and Ospreys would insert additional forces inland, with the ship's command center coordinating the entire operation. Now, with average costs of $1.6 billion per ship and 13 currently active, the San Antonio class represents a significant investment. The FY 2026 allocation of $2.8 billion focuses on Flight 2 variants, which feature cost reduction measures while maintaining combat capability. Next up, the aerial refueling tanker, KC-46A Pegasus, $3.3 billion. Based on the commercial Boeing 767 airframe, the KC-46 was selected in 2011 after a lengthy competition to replace the aging KC-135 fleet, some of which have been flying since the Eisenhower administration. What makes aerial refueling so critical to lethality is simple. It extends the range and endurance of every combat aircraft in America's arsenal. A fully loaded KC-46 can offload 212,000 pounds of fuel at distances up to 1 to 200 nautical miles, essentially allowing fighters and bombers to strike targets anywhere on Earth. Think about it. Without aerial refueling, the B-21 bomber's range is limited to maybe 6,000 miles round trip. With multiple refuelings, it can hit any target on the planet and return home. The KC-46 features both boom and probe and drogue systems, allowing it to refuel Air Force, Navy, Marine and Allied aircraft. But it's not just a tanker, it also serves as a cargo aircraft capable of carrying 65,000 pounds of cargo or 58 patients in aeromedical configuration, making it incredibly versatile. Now let's talk about the investment. With unit costs at approximately $220 million and plans for 179 aircraft, the FY 2026 allocation of $3.3 billion reflects the critical priority of this program. Next, let's step into the realm of the truly futuristic. Next Generation Air Dominance F-47, $3.5 billion. Conceived in the early 2010s as the Air Force's answer to emerging threats, a prototype demonstrator flew in September 2020, showcasing rapid development using cutting-edge digital engineering. Here's where it gets interesting. The program was paused in mid-2024 for requirements re-evaluation amid rising costs, but was revived with a contract award to Boeing in March 2025, positioning the F-47 as America's first operational 6th-generation fighter. What makes NGAD revolutionary isn't just just the manned fighter itself, it's the concept of a family of systems, including the core fighter platform, collaborative combat aircraft, autonomous drones that fight alongside it, advanced sensors, and integrated networks. Think of it as a quarterback controlling an entire football team of unmanned wingmen. The core platform is expected to feature capabilities that make the F-22 look obsolete. Stealth so advanced it's essentially invisible, speeds potentially reaching hypersonic. Velocities, adaptive cycle engines that can switch between high thrust and fuel efficiency, and AI-driven systems that can process information and make tactical decisions faster than any human. With FY 2026 allocating $3.5 billion for continued development and unit cost potentially exceeding $300 million when production begins, this represents a massive investment in air superiority. Moving on to a ship that can steam at over 30 knots for up to 50 years without refueling. CVN-78 Gerald R. Ford-class nuclear aircraft carrier, $3.6 billion. The lead ship was commissioned in 2017. These floating cities are absolutely staggering in their scale and capability, displacing 100,000 tons and stretching 106 feet in length with a flight deck 256 feet wide. These behemoths carry over 75 aircraft and a total crew of approximately 4,539, including the air wing. What makes the Ford class revolutionary is the advanced technologies that make it far more capable than the Nimitz-class carriers it replaces. The electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, replaces steam catapults, allowing smoother launches of a wider range of aircraft, including heavier drones, while the Advanced Arresting Gear, AAG, reduces stress on airframes during recovery. Powered by two A-1B nuclear reactors providing essentially unlimited range, these ships can steam at over 30 knots for their entire 50-year service life without refueling. Now let's talk about the numbers. With program costs exceeding $37.3 billion and individual ship costs around $13 billion, these are among the most expensive military assets ever built. The carrier air wing includes F-35Cs and FA-18 Super Hornets for strikes, EA-18G Growlers for electronic warfare, E-2D Hawkeyes for early warning, and helicopters for anti-submarine warfare and logistics. With plans for 10 to 12 Ford-class carriers and service lives extending to 2105, these ships represent America's commitment to global naval dominance. Moving ahead to a weapon that could deliver up to 475 kilotons of explosive force per warhead. Trident II ballistic missile modifications, $3.7 billion. Operational since 1990 with recent life extension programs designated D5LEE, this three-stage solid-fuel rocket represents the ultimate expression of nuclear deterrence. Let me paint you a picture of what we're dealing with here. Each Trident II missile measures 44 feet long, weighs 130,000 pounds, and can deliver up to 12 multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, MIRVs, carrying W-76 or W-88 thermonuclear warheads over distances exceeding 7,500 miles. The Inertial guidance system provides accuracies better than 90 meters at intercontinental ranges, meaning these weapons can strike hardened missile silos, command bunkers, or any target with surgical precision despite traveling thousands of miles through space. Deployed on 14 Ohio-class submarines with an operational record of 207 successful tests out of 215 launches, these missiles ensure that even if America suffered a devastating nuclear first strike, surviving submarines could retaliate with overwhelming force. Now, the FY 2026 allocation of $3.7 billion focuses on modifications and upgrades rather than new missiles. Recent contracts include a $647 million award in September 2025 for production support and development of the W-93 warhead to replace aging W-88s. The life extension programs are designed to keep these missiles viable through the 2040s, when they'll be adapted for the new Columbia-class submarines. Here is a fighter jet with an unmatched combat record. F-15 Eagle, Eagle II, $3.8 billion. First flying way back in 1972 and entering service in 1976, the F-15 has an absolutely unmatched combat record, 104 aerial kills with 0 losses in air-to-air combat. This means that no F-15 has ever been shot down in air-to-air combat, making it the most successful fighter jet in history. Now, the F-15X variant, proposed in 2018 and officially named in 2021, takes this proven airframe and supercharges it with modern technology. Powered by two F-110 GE-129 engines producing 29,500 pounds of thrust each. The Eagle II can hit Mach 2.5 and features fly-by-wire controls, AN/APG-82 AESA radar, and the Eagle Passive Active Warning Survivability System, EPWSS, for electronic warfare. The F-15EX can carry up to 22 air-to-air missiles, more than any other fighter in the American arsenal, with unit costs at $80 million to $100 million, significantly less than stealth fighters. The F-15EX represents exceptional value. The FY 2026 allocation of $3.8 billion includes both new aircraft and upgrades to older F-15E Strike Eagles. Plans call for 144 F-15EX aircraft by the 2030s, replacing aging F-15CD models and providing a high-capacity missile truck to complement stealthy F-35s and F-22s. Recent developments include successful integration of the Advanced Battle Management System, allowing the Eagle II to serve as a quarterback for joint forces. Moving ahead, here's a weapon that represents the cutting edge of expeditionary warfare. LHA America-class amphibious assault ship, $4 billion. Initiated in 2001 and based on the USS Makin Island design, the America-class prioritizes aviation capabilities for offshore operations. USS America commissioned in 2014, followed by Tripoli in 2020, and these 844-foot giants are essentially light aircraft carriers optimized for marine air operations. They displace 44,971 tons full load and are capable of supporting 30-40 aircraft, including F-35B Lightning IIs, MV-22 Ospreys, CH-53K heavy-lift helicopters, and various attack helicopters. The first two ships, Flight 0 variants, sacrificed the traditional well deck for expanded aviation facilities, allowing them to carry more aircraft and fuel. Flight Y variants, starting with Bougainville, reintegrate a well deck while maintaining substantial aviation capacity, providing the flexibility to conduct both aviation assaults and traditional amphibious landings. Now let's talk investment. With unit costs approaching $3.4 billion and total program costs exceeding $10 billion for the first three ships, these are enormously expensive. The FY 2026 allocation of $4 billion represents incremental funding for ongoing construction. USS America recently returned to San Diego after a deployment to Sasebo, Japan, where it demonstrated the ability to operate F-35Bs in high-threat environments. With plans for up to 11 ships and LHA-10 construction starting in 2026, the America class will remain the backbone of American amphibious forces for decades. Next up is one of the most controversial yet strategically critical weapons in the American arsenal. LGM-35A Sentinel, $4.2 billion. Originally known as the Ground-Based Strategic Deterrent, this program stems from post-Cold War efforts to replace the aging Minuteman III missiles. Now, after a competitive process, Northrop Grumman won the contract in September 2020 with an initial value of $13.3 billion, and the official LGM-35A designation was announced in April 2022. We're talking about the land-based leg of America's nuclear triad, the 400 missiles spread across Wyoming, Montana, and North Dakota that serve as the ultimate deterrent. Each Sentinel missile features a three-stage solid-fuel rocket capable of delivering multiple warheads, over 13,000 kilometers at speeds exceeding Mach 23. The warheads themselves, W-87-0 models yielding 300 kilotons, or the newer W-87-1 at 475 kilotons, represent apocalyptic destructive power. Initial estimates of $77.7 billion ballooned to over $140.9 billion by July 2024. A September 2025 Government Accountability Office report highlighted ineffective systems engineering and immature technologies as key cost drivers, forcing program restructuring and delays. The FY 2026 allocation of $4.2 billion reflects continued investment despite these challenges. The missiles maintain 24/7 alert status, capable of launching within minutes of presidential authorization. As of October 2025, the first plutonium pit for W-87-1 warheads was completed, but deployment delays push initial operational capability beyond 2030. This next weapon on the list is the workhorse of American naval power, DDG-51 Arleigh Burke class destroyer, $5.9 billion. In service since 1991, with 73 active ships as of 2025, these guided missile destroyers are absolutely critical to American sea power, displacing 8,230 to 9,700 tons, depending on variant and measuring 505-509 feet in length. These ships pack an absolutely staggering amount of firepower into a relatively compact hull. At the heart of each ship is the Aegis combat system, featuring either the AN/Spy 1D radar for earlier flights or the revolutionary AN/Spy 6 radar for Flight 3 ships. The ships carry carry 90 to 96 vertical launch system cells loaded with a mix of SM-2, SM-3, SM-6, surface-to-air missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles, and anti-submarine rockets. They're also armed with a 5-inch gun for naval gunfire support and close-in defense, phalanx or CRAM systems for last-ditch missile defense, and Mark 32 torpedo tubes for anti-submarine warfare. Now, powered by 4 LM2500 gas turbines producing 100,000 shaft horsepower combined and capable of speeds exceeding 30 knots, these ships can keep pace with carrier strike groups while providing layered defense. The FY 2026 allocation of $5.9 billion reflects extensive modernization of existing ships, with unit costs at approximately $2.2 billion to $2.95 billion per ship and plans for 25 more Flight 3 destroyers. The Arleigh Burke class will remain the backbone of the surface fleet well into the 2040s. Moving on to the most sophisticated aircraft ever designed. B-21 Raider, $10.3 billion. Unveiled in December 2022 after years of highly classified development under the Long-Range Strike Bomber program, the first flight occurred in November 2023, with production ramping up. Now, most specifications remain classified, but here's what we can piece together. The B-21 features a flying wing design similar to the B-2 but smaller, and incorporating stealth technology advances from the last 3 decades. The airframe is built using digital engineering techniques that dramatically reduce development time and costs compared to previous bomber programs. Powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney PW9000 turbofans producing approximately 27,000 pounds of thrust each, the Raider is subsonic but features range and endurance that allow global strike capability with aerial refueling. The bomber can carry approximately 50,000 plus pounds of weapons internally, including conventional precision-guided bombs, standoff cruise missiles, and nuclear weapons. Now, let's talk about the investment. With unit costs estimated at $700 million to $800 million per aircraft, and a total program cost exceeding $203 billion for 100-plus aircraft, the B-21 represents one of the most expensive military programs in history. The FY 2026 allocation of $10.3 billion reflects continued development, initial production, and establishment of the support infrastructure. Low-rate initial production began in 2024, with initial operational capability expected in 2027. Up next is a weapon that never needs to be refueled in its 42-year service life. SSBN 826 Columbia-class ballistic missile submarine, $11.5 billion. Developed since 2008 to replace the Ohio-class SSBNs that have served since the 1980s, these submarines represent the ultimate expression of survivable nuclear forces. These ballistic missile submarines patrol hidden in the ocean depths, making them essentially invulnerable to first strikes. The lead ship construction began in 2020, with first patrol expected in 2031 and plans for 12 total boats. Now let's talk specifications. Displacing 20,210 tons submerged and measuring 560 feet in length. These are the largest submarines ever built by the United States. Each Columbia carries 16 Trident II D5 LE-2 submarine-launched ballistic missiles. The advanced propulsion system featuring an S-1B nuclear reactor with a life of ship core, meaning it never needs refueling during its 42-year service life. Advanced stealth features include anechoic coatings, sophisticated sound isolation, and a design optimized to minimize noise generation. Think about what this means operationally. These submarines will patrol the oceans completely undetected for months at a time. Now let's address the cost. With total program costs approaching $126.4 billion for 12 submarines and individual ship costs around $11.5 billion, these are among the most expensive military assets ever built. With service lives extending to 2085 and beyond, the Columbia class will safeguard American security for over 6 decades. Moving away from this, here is a weapon that represents the apex of undersea warfare technology. SSN 774 Virginia-class submarine, $12.2 billion. The first Virginia was commissioned in 2004, and 22 are now operational with plans for 66 total, displacing 7,900 tons for early blocks and 10,200 tons for Block 5. With Virginia payload module, these boats measure 327 feet long or 460 feet with VPM. Powered by an S-9G nuclear reactor driving a pump jet propulsor, they can exceed 25 knots submerged with essentially unlimited range, limited only by crew endurance and food supplies. Virginias carry 12 to 40 vertical launch system tubes for Tomahawk cruise missiles, plus 4 533mm torpedo tubes that can launch Mk-48 torpedoes, Harpoon anti-ship missiles, and even unmanned vehicles. The acoustic signature is so low that these submarines are nearly impossible to detect even with the most advanced sonar systems. The sensor suite is absolutely cutting edge. Photonic masts replace traditional periscopes, providing high-resolution imagery without penetrating the hull. The large aperture bow sonar array provides superior detection capability, and advanced signal processing allows simultaneous tracking of multiple targets. Now, the investment, with unit costs at approximately $4.3 billion, including the Virginia payload module, and FY 2026 allocating $12.2 billion for continued construction, this represents America's commitment to undersea dominance. With 24 commissioned as of 2025 and deliveries continuing through the 2043, Virginia-class submarines will remain America's silent service. Next on the list is the most expensive weapons program in human history. F-35 Joint Strike Fighter Lightning II, $13.1 billion. Initiated in the 1990s and entering service in 2015, this fifth-generation stealth fighter has fundamentally transformed air combat. The F-35 comes in 3 variants: the F-35A conventional takeoff for the Air Force, F-35B short takeoff adjunct vertical landing for the Marines, and F-35C carrier variant for the Navy. The F-35's radar cross-section is smaller than a golf ball, with carefully shaped airframe surfaces, internal weapons bays, and radar-absorbent materials, making it essentially invisible to enemy radar. Powered by a single Pratt & Whitney F135 engine producing 43,000 pounds of thrust with afterburner, the F-35 can hit Mach 1.6 and operate at ranges exceeding 1,200 nautical miles. The weapons load is impressive. Internal bays carry AIM-120 AMRAAM air-to-air missiles and 2,000-pound bombs for stealth missions, while external pylons can add up to 22,000 pounds of additional weapons when stealth isn't required. With lifetime costs exceeding $1.7 trillion and acquisition costs at $406.5 billion, the F-35 is by far the most expensive weapons program in history. Flyaway costs have dropped to $82.5 million for the F-35A, $109 million for the F-35B, and $102.1 million for the F-35C as production increases, making it cost competitive with advanced fourth-generation fighters. Plans call for 2,456 F-35s in US service by 2044, with service extending to 2070. So there you have it, the 20 most expensive and deadliest weapons in America's vast military arsenal. As technology continues to evolve and new threats emerge, you can be certain that America will continue pushing the boundaries of what's possible in military hardware. If you enjoyed this video, click on the ones showing on your screen to enjoy more.